boy Jay Rich in the house.
Back at it, baby.
With the loafers. I mean, I'm going to step up my loafer game.
I'm a loafer guy for the day. You
Hey,
know?
give me some. Hey, let's go.
You know, my old age,
Let's get it.
I'm a loafer guy.
I'm good. I like it.
Let me see.
Looking good.
Oh, yeah.
Interstate 70 connects Columbus to Indianapolis, but it's a road the Buckeyes haven't traveled in far too long. It's been 4 years since the last time Ohio State played for a Big Ten championship, and to make it even worse, they've had to watch that team up north become that team out west. And because of that feeling, the Bucks came back. Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Travion Henderson, Emeka Ibuka, Denzel Burke. The NFL can wait, but Indianapolis can wait no longer. Interstate 70 doesn't just connect Indianapolis to Columbus, the road to Indy goes through Columbus. The 2024 Buckeyes, a season of redemption, begins today, and the football fever begins right now. Just outside Ohio Stadium, another season of Buckeye football begins today when the Ohio State Buckeyes host the Akron Zips, a northern state rival here at the Shoe. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the premiere episode of a new season of The Football Fever. I'm your host, Dave Holmes, joined by Kellyanne Stitz, Obi Stillwell. We have Jay Richardson and Ben Buchanan back in the studio. We'll get to them in just a minute. But guys, let's begin with what I think is the storyline of the 2024 Buckeyes. The expectations, Obi, and I understand it's there every year at Ohio State, but to me, it feels elevated in 2024.
You know what? Absolutely, and I'm loving the leadership right now. And some of the things that are even going on off the field, guys just getting deeper into their faith. And whenever there's a team that sees the bigger picture than just football, it's something about that just releases their athletic abilities and talents and the gifts that they have. The expectations are great as a Buckeye fan, Buckeye media, but as Buckeye players, it's at another level.
You know, and Kellyanne, you want to talk about faith. Ryan Day has shown great faith in a transfer. Will Howard, he goes and gets his man from Kansas State to lead this program. Now, he is an experienced guy. He's big, 237 pounds. What do you expect to see out of Will Howard?
I expect to see a veteran play like a veteran. He has so much game experience. He's dynamic. He has a good arm, but he can also run the ball. It gives offensive coordinator Chip Kelly a lot of options. And all the guys have really bought into his leadership very quickly. He won that locker room very quickly coming in the spring, working really hard to learn the playbook and earning the trust of his guys. Everyone's backing Will Howard, and I think we could see some veteran play out there, as we should.
Chip Kelly claims that Will Howard can run 22 miles an hour. That's almost speeding through a school zone.
Yes.
Okay, 22 miles an hour. Okay. So
6'2",
6'2",
over 200 pounds.
237 at 22 miles an hour. Okay, so Obi, there's a lot of hype around one player.
Yes.
Jeremiah Smith, you have been around this team for decades.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a freshman come in with more hype? I think maybe Terrell Pryor, but my goodness, Jeremiah Smith, the hype is off the charts.
Yeah, you know what? I think the hype is reality. You know, being at the practices in spring, seeing it over the summer. I remember I was standing there with Lorenzo Styles, which is Sonny Styles, and Lorenzo Styles Jr.'s father. And I did not know who he was at first because he looked so mature. He has such a confidence. He has a swag. The expectations are off the chart for him, but he is living up to every single idea about him and what he's going to do this season. I'm looking forward to it. I think he can do it. I think he really will.
And he's about to start.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ryan Day says he's going to be there at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
The first true freshman to ever be named an Iron Buckeye, so clearly has the backing and the work ethic. Let's hear what Ryan Day has to say about his team as we get ready for the opener.
The foundation is not complete. I mean, this is a long build to the end of the season, so we want to come through this week, watch the game, get on the film, and figure out, who graded out a champion, who didn't. But ultimately, we want guys to play really, really hard in this game.
Someone who no doubt will play hard in this game is Jack Sawyer. Kellyanne, I know you talked to the Buckeye captain. The defensive line didn't exactly get the sacks last year. Now, Jack Sawyer got plenty of sacks in the Cotton Bowl last time we saw him play. But what did Jack Sawyer have to say about this D-line?
Well, and you know what, Larry Johnson, that's a big thing that everybody kept asking, like, are you going to produce more sacks? The sacks. And he said, hey, first and foremost, we're not chasing stats. That's not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned if we're getting pressure on the quarterback, if we're affecting their play. And they did do that last year. But I did talk to Jack Sawyer, and he, in a one-on-one conversation, he mentioned that he feels that JT Tuimoloau, Tyleek, and Ty Hamilton should get more sacks. He mentioned that was just kind of the defensive scheme that Jim Knowles was calling up last year, where they were getting to the quarterback, but it didn't necessarily allow them to really get into the quarterback and get those sacks.
Yep.
But he did mention to me he feels that he and JT and all those guys up front there are going to produce more sacks this season.
Okay, well, I know what the people at home are thinking. We haven't seen what Ben Buchanan and Jay Richardson are wearing yet. Guys, I was told I'm hosting a pregame show. I show up today. Turns out I'm hosting a fashion show. You guys are really into fashion.
You look sharp, man. Good debut. Love it. All
Looking
right.
really good.
trying.
Looking really good, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Ben Buchanan here in studio with former Buckeye Jay Richardson for another season of the Football Fever, and you can feel the excitement in the air this morning for the 135th season of Buckeye football. It kicks off today against the Akron Zips. Now, Jay, the big story today is that OSU has a new starting quarterback in Will Howard. What are your thoughts on the Kansas State transfer earning this starting job?
Oh, Ben. First, it's great to be back.
It is,
great
man.
to be
It's good
having
to
some
see you,
college
man.
football. Great to be sitting next to you.
Let's go.
And here's what I'll say about Will Howard. I was at practice this week, and I spoke to Ryan Day, and I spoke to some of the other coaches there, and I said, what's the biggest difference between Will Howard and Kyle McCord from last season? And they all said the same thing. He's big, he's physical, he will run the football. I mean, you're talking about a kid that is 6'4", 235 pounds, actually down from about 245 pounds. So he's gotten a little lean. Coach Mick's got him in there lean and strong. But the biggest thing is leadership, command of the huddle. Everyone believes in this guy. And I watched some of the passes he threw. I watched how he navigated the offense. Can he go through his progressions? Does he run too early? Does he wait too long to take off? And from what I saw, he looks comfortable. He looks like he is the guy.
Yep.
I don't think he feels threatened. And I think he's excited to make use of all these amazing weapons he has. Over 2,600 yards last season.
Sure.
And I think he's somebody that is looking to explode on the college football landscape for the Buckeyes.
This is life in the big city, though, man. This is Columbus, Ohio. Maybe the stakes are a little higher here. So, Jay, both fellow transfer Julian Say and returner Devin Brown have shown a lot of promise as well. In your opinion, how secure is Howard's job going into this season?
As we were leading into,
Yeah.
I think it's very secure,
Okay.
Ben. I don't think he's looking over his shoulder. This is not a situation where it's a quarterback competition or it's a, hey, man, if this guy struggles, maybe we look to 33 or maybe we even go with the young guy. No. And that's no knock on Devin Brown. I thought Devin Brown looked fantastic in the spring game at times. I thought he showed a lot of poise. Everyone knows Devin Brown throws a great deep ball. Will Howard is the guy. Will Howard is the leader. He's the guy that everyone's going to get behind. I think Ryan Day has made that decision very, very firm. And I think you're still going to see early on in these first couple games some performance and play by the backups because you want to make sure all of your guys are ready to go on game day because injuries happen. But there's no one's thinking like, oh man, who's our guy gonna emerge?
No doubt.
It's Will Howard day one.
That's how you know it's a good day for the Bucks is against Akron. We're seeing the backups pretty early. Obviously, this is the first step in a very long, very exciting season to come. The question here, do Buckeye fans see a lot of conservative play calling today? Or are we going to see the gunslinger that threw for over 5,700 yards at Kansas State? He's got some impressive stats.
He's got some fantastic stats in the air and on the ground. I think actually, Ben, Ohio State's offense comes out kind of vanilla. vanilla.
Okay.
You got to be able to do the basics. Any offensive coordinator, any head coach will tell you, if we can't get our staples down and execute it properly, if you can't block, if you can't tackle, if you can't run the ball directly at an opponent without having to trick them and just do basic football concepts and principles, then you can't do anything. I think Ryan Day wants to come out and get this offensive line established. I think the critical unit for the Buckeyes in 2024 is going to be the offensive line. I thought they looked better than I assumed they would look when I was at practice. Some of the holes they were opening up, the physicality the front five is already playing with. I want to see them emerge as the unit that takes control of this offense. And we almost forget about Will Howard, and we almost forget about Jeremiah Smith and Emeka and these great running backs, and we just are in awe of what the front five do. That's what I want to see. So I think they keep it simple.
I think the phrase is impose your will, right? That's a game. That's what you want to see in a game versus Akron today. That would be a good day.
When you have the nod on talent, you want to be able to execute and just get all the little things cleaned up. No penalties. It's something I'm always tough on the Buckeyes because they've led the Big Ten in penalties often. I want to see a clean football game. I think that's all Ryan wants to see, too.
Have to be a sharp ball club, obviously. All right, in the Atlas Butler offensive checkup, the one big advantage that Howard will have against the Zips is just the sheer amount of offensive weapons at his disposal today. There are plenty, as we know. Once again, the Buckeyes look to have really the best wide receiver room in the country. Emeka Egbuka's back for another year to lead the Buckeye receivers, which also includes Carnell Tate. And as we mentioned, one of the most hyped recruits of all time in Jeremiah Smith. Jay, how much confidence do these guys give Will Howard today?
You know, you bring up Emeka Egbuka. You're talking about a guy who 2 years ago, had an 1,100-yard season and 10 touchdowns and was really on pace to possibly leave early and be out of here, and then had a few injuries that slowed him down a little bit. Having Emeka back at full strength is I don't think people understand how much that's going to mean to the Ohio State offense and to Will Howard. Even before you get into Carnell Tate, who people, we're talking about being the next guy before Jeremiah Smith comes in here as a physical specimen like the likes of which we've never seen. And now we're talking about all these weapons. And I just want to say that Emeka is going to be the guy that is the chain on the bike for this offense. I think every third down, Will Howard will be looking to Emeka to keep those chains moving. I think he's somebody that is a steady wide receiver. He has every skill set you want for the next level. And you guys know I'm always going to tell you about who projects to the next level. And I think Emeka is going to be a first-round pick. I think he's just a special player and a leader for that offensive wide receiver core. And the weapons. We haven't even got to the running back yet.
Let's go. And it's a long show, baby. It's a long show.
We got to watch.
We got it to come. No shortage of dudes in Brian Hartline's room. That's all I can say going into 2024. Buckeyes have a new offensive coordinator, as we know, in 2024. Chip Kelly, might have heard of him, right? Longtime friend of Ryan Day, is here to retool the Buckeye offense. Jay, that makes for, listen here now, a new OC, new quarterback, many other new offensive weapons this year. The question, do you see any growing pains with this many new faces in the mix this year?
You know what, Ben? I'll tell you why I don't see too many. Ryan Day and Chip Kelly go way back, man. These guys are boys back to the New Hampshire days when Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator and he brought Ryan on. These guys have been tight for a long time, and they've kind of been scratching each other's backs and putting one another on. So I'm excited to see Chip Kelly. I talked to him at practice. He's excited about this offense. Him and Ryan already have a rapport. So they're not trying to establish chemistry out of thin air. These guys are good friends, and they know how they want to run it. And what Chip does for Ryan is he allows Ryan to take a step back from play calling duties and be more of the CEO of this football team and not the head coach and offensive coordinator and play caller. No, now Ryan gets to kind of oversee everything, make sure everything's working properly, and he trusts Chip in a way that he's probably never trusted any other coach to run this thing. And Chip's got a unique offensive ground attack. And, Ryan always tweaks up the air stuff. It's going to be fun to watch.
You want to talk about a dictionary.com home run hire, man? I don't know if it gets any better than Chip Kelly right there. That's
former two-time Pac-10 Offensive Coach of the Year outright. I mean, that's impressive to have just in your stable of coaches, not to mention James Laurinaitis, who was all everything at Ohio State and a 12, 13-year vet in the league. Fantastic.
Pretty impressive pickup, Ryan Day. Well done. Now, the Buckeye offense is far more than just wide receivers this year, as we know. Scarlet and Gray also boasting two of the best running backs in the country this season. We're talking about Quinshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson. They're looking to establish a punishing running game this season for Ohio State. And according to former Heisman winner RG3, Judkins is just the guy for the job.
I believe that Quinshawn is a master of every phase. I do believe that he is a threat out of the backfield catching the football. He's not asked to do it all that often, but he is a threat. He can run outside with speed. He can run in between the tackles with power. And I think his mentality, Quinshon Judkins wants to be a star, right? And he's willing to do the things that you have to do to be a star.
Jay, it looks like we might have a two-headed monster at running back this year. These guys are beyond special.
Ben, I'm glad you brought up Q Jenkins, and I just want people to know, not only is this kid special, has anyone noticed Lane Kiffin's tweets from Ole Miss about how upset he is of getting, or I should say letting Quinshon Jenkins get out of Ole Miss? He was going to be the guy for them. He was the guy as a freshman, and then Ohio State kind of lured him over here to the Buckeye State. You know why? Because this kid can do everything. As RG3 just told you, outside, inside, all that's great. I'm at practice and I'm watching his eyes, I'm watching his feet. He understands leverage at a high level. He knows how to run in between the tackles. He's the perfect complement to Travion Henderson because Travion is the home run hitter. But Q Jenkins, I think, by the middle of this season is going to be the identity of the Ohio State offense. I promise you that. He is powerful. He is intimidating. He runs through contact. Guys don't really want to run up on him.
Man.
Ben, this dude's different.
He is a physical dude. I've heard that.
I cannot wait till this Buckeye fandom gets to see number one in action in like under the lights. It's going to be special. This kid is going to be very, very good.
So you're telling me lower the shoulder, Big Ten, 3 yards, cloud of dust, that still exists? Or pebbles of turf now, I guess.
It's going to be a cloud of turf, dust, blood, bones. This kid's bringing it. I promise you.
I'd love to see it, man. Good stuff coming in 2024. Now, Travion Henderson was also one of 6 Buckeyes named to the preseason All-American list. He's joined by one of the big guys up front in Donovan Jackson, fellow offensive weapon Emeka Egbuka, Denzel Burke, Caleb Downs, and Tyleek Williams rounding out the group from the defensive side of the ball. No shortage of talent there. Jay, let's rank our top 4 out of the list and who we think will still be there at the end of the season as an All-American. Who do you like out of that list best?
All of them.
Yeah,
all of them. You know, I think Donovan has got to be a leader up front for the Buckeyes. I think he's somebody that's big, physical, smart, knows where to be, and can keep that offensive line kind of on a string there. And then I really want to see Tyleek Williams reemerge. I mean, you talk about the freshman year he had a pick 6 for a 325, 30-pounder. He might have been like 350 at that time. He's trimmed down. The coaches talk so much about his freakish athletic ability at that size. We want to see him explode this season. He's already on everybody's big board in the draft. I spoke about Emeka. I think we know what he's going to do. And then I want to see Jack Sawyer and Tui really take over the defensive line. I mean, just absolutely obliterate offensive lines. And I got a feeling that's going to happen.
Doesn't surprise me the DNs finishing with some good DNs right here. I mean, it just makes sense.
You remember that Penn State game a couple years ago that Tui had?
Are we going to show? Maybe next show we can get them to.
Oh
to run
man,
it.
I'm still having.
That was a day. That's as we say. You have a day.
We need that again, big dog.
All right, we're just getting started here on The Football Fever. When we come back, Kellyanne Stitz goes one-on-one with Cody Simon. The vocal leader of the defense has earned the coveted Block O jersey for 2024. We look back at his amazing journey and how he's become the bedrock of a defense that's looking to win it all. Plus, a Buckeye great gets an honor befitting a legend, how Ohio State is honoring Archie Griffin's unbroken Heisman achievements. This is The Football Fever. Stay with us.
This countdown to kickoff is sponsored by Division 7 Roofing.
All right, we're just a few hours away from kickoff in the Week 1 battle between Ohio State and Akron. Let's send it out to Kellyanne, who has more on one of the Buckeyes' defensive leaders. Kellyanne?
Yeah, Ben, Cody Simon was the first Buckeye to publicly announce that he was returning for another season, and his leadership has been felt in the locker room. He's elected a team captain this season and picked to wear the Block O honor. I caught up with Simon about becoming the 5th Buckeye and 2nd non-Ohioan to wear the Block O, and much more about this season.
You know, it was a rush of emotions. I know all the guys who've come before, and you know, I've heard stories about Bill Willis and you know how amazing of a guy he was, and I really wish I could have met him and really understood what he really was about. And I'm just so thankful for my teammates to think of me that way.
You're set to start at middle linebacker, and then Ryan Day announced that Sonny Styles will start next to you at will linebacker. What have you seen from Sonny in preseason camp?
You know, he really learned a lot and learned fast. You know, I'm happy for him because you know, he's really developed and he can play whatever position he really wants to, really, because he's a freak athlete, and you know, I'm just excited to see what he can do on Saturday.
Ranked 3rd overall in total defense last season, where can you see the defense taking a step this year?
You know, our goal is to be number 1, and I mean, I don't think it's right to not strive to be the best, and especially at Ohio State, we have goals to win everything, really, and I think we can. It's as long as we do our job, we do everything we're supposed to do, we listen to coach and really follow the plan.
Your older brother Shane also played linebacker and was trying to make an NFL roster. How do you lean on him for support?
Yeah, no, pretty much everything I've done in life, I've kind of watched him do before me. So for me, it's really just following his footsteps. He's a great role model. He's the best role model, in my opinion. And you know, I just appreciate him for being the trailblazer for me because you know he's done so much and he's really fighting his way in the NFL right now. And you know, I'm wishing the best for him.
Have you guys spoke this week? And if so, did he impart any advice to you ahead of the opener against Akron?
I mean, he just wants me to be to stay healthy and you know really just be the player I'm supposed to be. You know, I just want to lead like I know how to do and be there for the guys when they go out there and we'll do our job.
Simon filled in for Tommy Eichenberg last season, and he's played middle linebacker before, so he is ready to be the quarterback on defense this season. He told me the biggest adjustment this year is the helmet communication and learning to communicate on the field in a different way without solely relying on signals, especially when the shoe gets rocking and loud on 3rd down. But we have much more to get to on this edition of The Football Fever. Coming up, we highlight Mr. Two-Time, whose legacy is cemented in the shoe. It's been a fun week for Buckeye legend Archie Griffin, how the decorated player is being celebrated, and much more coming up in The Football Fever.
All right, time now for this week's G&J Pepsi Fantastic Photo of the Week. This young Buckeye fan is certainly geared up and ready to cheer for the Scarlet and Gray today. He's also working on his OHIO. We'd love to see that. Great shot. Remember to send us your photos of how you're watching our Buckeyes today by going to chime in on the ABC6 app, and we look forward to seeing you there. Well, new for 2024, the Football Fever has entered the podcast game. That's right, Jay. Our own Dave Holmes sat down with the Ohio State legend and talked the very important topic of goofiest mascots in college football. In case you missed this week's episode, we got you covered. We're taking a look back in just 3 minutes here on the Football Fever.
And how about the week for Archie Griffin? Yesterday, a new statue unveiled here at the North Rotunda, and then later today, he dots the I, becoming the first former player to receive that honor in Script, Ohio. We'll talk to Mr. Two-Time coming up next on the Football Fever. He is college football's only two-time Heisman Trophy winner. Now Archie Griffin can add another award to his list of accolades. Yesterday in a ceremony here at the Shoe, they unveiled the Archie Griffin statue, and what a great time to do it here in 2024, 50 years after Archie won the first of those two Heisman trophies. But Kellyanne, that was part one of a very big weekend for Archie. Part two is coming later today.
I was going to say, Dave, it's been such a fun week for Archie Griffin, and deservedly so, right? He's done so much for Ohio State, and today he'll be joining a revered game day tradition that he's looking forward to and that he actually practiced for.
It's one of the greatest traditions in college football, the Script, Ohio. So it's only fitting the greatest football player to wear scarlet and gray was picked to dot the I in the Buckeyes' season opener.
I think it was a no-brainer. Everybody kind of was totally on board with it, and we're really excited to extend the opportunity to him.
The senior sousaphone players extended the band's greatest honor to Archie Griffin.
Oh, my goodness.
By surprising him with a special note.
As I was reading the letter, I was wondering, I said, is this going to get to me dotting the I? And I was hoping it was, to tell you the truth. And I read it and read it and read it, and that was the invitation to dot the I. Oh, my goodness. That's incredible.
Griffin joins an exclusive list of non-band members to dot the I, but will become the first former Ohio State football player to carry the tradition.
You think of Woody Hayes and Earl Bruce as coaches that dotted the I, but you think of Bob Hope, John Glenn. I mean, it's a very small group of people that have dotted that I, and to have that opportunity to be amongst those people is truly, truly a fabulous honor.
It's remarkable for him to be able to do that, and I think it's a really exciting opportunity for him to represent all of the people that have played here and been greats in the football uniform at Ohio State.
Griffin paved the way as the greatest running back in Ohio State history by breaking NCAA and school records en route to becoming the only two-time Heisman winner with a knack for beating to his own drum.
I kind of wish I had have grown up playing instruments. Drums was something that I liked beating on all the time. I used to have my little practice drum pad that I used to beat on that all the time with the sticks.
Griffin is excited to finally join the band at halftime to become a part of a revered game day tradition in the stadium he's cemented his legacy in. And the big moment is striking a chord.
I got nervous before every football game, and to be nervous to dot the I, it's a different thing. I'm not going to take any hits, I hope, but there's a different kind of nervousness about it. I don't want to go out there and then fall.
I had a chance to be at the ceremony yesterday when they unveiled the statue, and Obi was cool because his 1970s teammates from Ohio State were there. Also, Eastmore High School teammates. Wow. But it's not surprising, given the guy that Archie is, that people would come out and support him.
No, you know what? It's interesting because in Buckeye Nations, there's basically two individuals that you can just call them by their first name, and that's Archie, right, and that's Eddie, right? You don't have to say Eddie George. You don't have to say Archie Griffin. We know who you're talking about when you say Archie. Eddie actually called me this morning, and we were talking on the way, and the Buckeye pride that he still has. They're in Nashville, and they play later on Tennessee State. They play later on today at 5 o'clock. But he spoke about the tradition and the love for this university. And it is just a thing as far as humility. I believe that started when we're talking about Archie. It started in his family. I also go to breakfast with his brother, Ray Griffin, every now and then. And Ray is just as humble. They have just been taught that humility, and it just exudes in his life. He's extremely approachable, and he carries this university on his back with so much gratitude. So it's so cool, so deserving of this statue. Long overdue, but it's so good that it's being done.
You know, Ryan Day stopped by briefly just to say hello. Clearly he was busy on game prep, but he did stop by and just said, Kellyanne said, Archie, I appreciate what you did on the field, but the example you've set off the field, and it really does come down to that humility and service.
Yeah, not just what he's done on the field, but like you said, the way he represents the university and the football program off the field is a huge reason why they extended the offer to dot the I. And in our conversations, what stuck out to me, as you guys both touched on it, is just his humility. He was truly so honored to be able to dot the I, and very fitting, right, to become the first former player to do so. You wouldn't think, of course, it's a no-brainer for Archie Griffin to be able to do it, but he was so shocked and genuinely so grateful for this opportunity.
Yeah, there are now 3 statues here on campus of Ohio State Athletic Department individuals. Archie Griffin, Woody Hayes outside the center that bears his name, and Jesse Owens outside the track complex. That's pretty elusive company. Now, but it has me wondering, guys. Okay, so Archie's the first former player to dot the I later today. Let's go back to the studio to Jay and Ben. You know, who would be next? I mean, if we had to think about who would be the next former player to maybe receive this honor, who jumps out to you?
We've got some good picks that we'll share with you, Dave. We know, of course, it's not just members of the band who dot the I. In fact, there's been plenty of impressive names given the honor since Ohio State began the tradition back in 1936. Some of those names include former OSU coaches Woody Hayes, Earl Bruce, John and Annie Glenn, comedian Bob Hope, and John Woods. So, Jay, who in your opinion should be the next athlete to dot the I at Ohio State. That's quite the honor.
It's a huge
That's
honor.
quite the honor.
And there's a lot of obvious picks and big names, but I'm going to go with a guy that you might not be thinking of. You know, I was watching Colorado, and I saw Travis Hunter starting on both sides.
Two-way player.
Two-way player.
Yeah.
And I thought the first two-way player I ever saw was number 7, Chris Gamble. And in 2002, we won a national championship. A lot of that was because he was starting at wideout and at cornerback, and he was unbelievable.
He was
and
amazing.
a kick returner.
Yep.
So I would say CG. We're going to go with Chris Gamble.
Really a three-way player at that point, right?
Absolutely.
Special teams, offense,
He
defense.
did it all.
I'll keep the same era of football. You know, I'm 2010s. He's early 2000s here, but that was a good brand of football, man. How about Troy Smith, right? Heisman Trophy winner.
Heisman?
Watching T. Smith do his thing, watching him just slay Michigan all those years. I mean,
The Michigan Slayer, the original.
I mean, I feel like if you are a Heisman winner, that's a pretty amazing club. T, I'm
kind of a big
for
deal,
you, my man. I would say so. All right, much more to come. Stay with us on the Football Fever.
I'm a Kent State alum, so I'm here for all the anti-Akron stuff we can throw out there.
This is why Akron has not had a ton of success in football in recent years, because that makes absolutely no sense.
None whatsoever.
Rubber boots, but your mascot is a kangaroo.
Is a kangaroo.
All right, the first edition of the Football Fever podcast is available to watch on YouTube and download wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every Wednesday. If you missed it this week, we sat down with the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner, Archie Griffin, and talked weird mascots with fellow Buckeye and my former teammate, Tyvis Powell. It's a good conversation. Now, one of those weird mascots is the Akron Zip. So the question here, how did this odd kangaroo come to be? Everyone's wondering, right? Well, a little history lesson here. The name Zip is short for zippers, a name that dates back to the competition held on Akron's campus back in 1925 to decide the school's nickname. It was a student named Margaret Hamlin suggested zippers, which also shares a popular rubber overshoe sold by the city's B.F. Goodrich company at the time. But how did the university decide on a kangaroo, Jay? That's what everybody wants to know. As the actual actual mascot? Well, the history lesson continues here. In 1953, the Student Council decided on the name, where it was then approved by the university president, Dick Hansford, who said there were just, listen to this, too many bulldogs, lions, and tigers out there. I'd have to
So we go
agree.
kangaroo.
That makes sense, right? The original design featured a kangaroo with boxing gloves, but since they've lost the gloves and become one of the most recognizable and unique mascots in college football. Let's bring in Dave, Obi, and Kellyanne now to talk their picks for most unique mascots. Team, take it away.
So they're named after the zippers, a shoe. I'm sure if Kellyanne named a mascot after a shoe, they would have been the Akron Louboutins. Or something, right? Something, the Akron Red Bottoms. All right, so Kellyanne,
like that.
you know, we're sitting here close to the Akron equipment truck, and there's a LeBron quote that says, just a kid from Akron. What do you think about changing them to the Akron
I was
Kings?
going to say, hey, if the athletic director and LeBron James, you have to be listening. Akron Kings is kind of what we came up with. Doesn't that have a nice ring to it?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it, actually.
I'd say they're one check away from making that happen if LeBron wants to ride it. So, Obi, is there a mascot to you that jumps out that you say, what on earth? That is random.
You know what? I would have to go with the Stanford mascot, University of Stanford, with the tree.
Yeah.
You know, you think a mascot would be a little more intimidating. I don't know if there's anything intimidating about a tree.
Yeah.
But to see them running around as a tree in the middle of the game throws me off a little bit.
Yeah, when your mascot's the cardinal, which is the color, not the bird, and you're a tree, it makes no sense. Kellyanne, how about you?
This one might be intimidating because it's just downright scary. The Wichita State University Shockers. If you have not seen the mascot, please do yourself a favor and look it up. It is terrifying. It has yellow stringy hair, a long nose, kind of ogre-esque. So if you want to be intimidating, I mean, yeah, it's downright scary.
I thought you were describing me until ogre-esque. The first two, I was like, what we got? Yeah, so for me, I look at Western Kentucky, okay? The Hilltoppers have that big old red blob. Jay Ben, that blob is like the Kool-Aid man without the swagger, without the charisma. He's just this big old red tub of goo.
Yeah, I like our mascot, the Buckeyes. I'll just leave it at that. Zips, we had the history lesson. I guess there's plenty that we can talk about. So good stuff, guys. Still to come, these 2024 Buckeyes are hungry, and nothing less than a national title will fill them up this year. Jim Knowles and his defensive stars are back and ready to roll this year. The long process of preparation that they say makes them natty ready. This is the Football Fever, live from Columbus.
We just want to be known as, the guys that play relentless. The type of mentality we want to play with, not to the point where we're getting out of our technique, but, staying in that mode, staying in that kill mode, and just attacking everybody that's in front of us.
They want the fans, the media, the rest of the team to be able to know when they go on the field that they can be counted on.
Our goal is to be number one, and I mean I don't think it's right to not strive to be the best, and especially at Ohio State, where we have goals to win everything really, and I think we can.
Welcome back to the shoe and the season premiere of The Football Fever. Dave Holmes, Obi Stillwell, Kellyanne Stitz. Let's talk about this defense, Kellyanne. Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau came back. They have no gold pants. They don't have a win over Michigan. They haven't been to Lucas Oil. I mean, I would think there's a lot that needs to change this year with those two guys on the end.
And Dave, let me say, you don't have to remind them of any of that either.
Yeah.
They are coming back highly motivated to check off some unfinished business, check off multiple goals. They want to be physical. They want to be extremely aggressive. They are hungry. They want to be the best defensive line in the country. They want to rack up those sacks, but most importantly, they want to affect the quarterback. And I just want to point out, too, Tyreek Williams and Ty Hamilton are also hungry. They mentioned that they wanted to come up with a new nickname, the TNT Brothers.
Okay.
Even though Larry Johnson was like, I like Rushman. But, man, they are all motivated and hungry, and they want to be explosive up the middle and really affect the quarterback.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're always hungry when you're 330 pounds with these guys. So they are hungry. So, Obi, you're my linebacker here. All right, let's talk about this linebacker core. Cody Simon gets the block go. You got Sonny Styles making a shift now to linebacker. How do you see that group shaping up?
You know what? I think there's still a lot of question marks about the linebacker core because we haven't been that dominant core for a long time. So there's a question mark over Cody Simon, though there's so much talent there, right? Not so much Sonny Styles. Obviously, he came in from the safety spot. Now he's in the linebacker spot. I think he's now finally in his best position to be able to get out of him all of the talents, gifts, and abilities that he has. I'm excited about this linebacker core. I keep hearing every summer, though, hey, they're going to let us loose. They're going to let us play. They're going to let us go and tackle the ball. I don't see our linebacking core making tackles for losses like they should, based off of their talents, their speed, their strength, all that kind of stuff. That is what I'm looking for this season. I'm hoping they're making a lot of tackles behind the line of scrimmage and really being aggressive and really being that staple to the defense. So we'll see. And I really think Jim Knowles just needs to let them go. Just release the hounds, man. Let these dogs hunt.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the secondary, BIA, they refer to themselves as best in America. And for a while there, when it was Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, Eli Apple, Garyon Conley, Jeff Okudah, they were. Last few years, maybe not as much. But, guys, it looks like this year they could be back to that, especially with Caleb Downs coming in from Alabama.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the Jim Knowles defense plays a little conservative. I think maybe he's just getting an understanding of how much talent he has. And you know what? You don't have to coach as much. Just let these boys play.
You know, guys, let's go back to the studio with Ben and Jay. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to suggest that the strength of this team, I know they have a lot of playmakers. I think the defense is a top 3 unit, might be the best unit on this team.
Yeah, there's no question about that, Dave. They kind of touched on it already, Jay, but want your opinion on this. The defense struggled to put up big sack numbers last year. How motivated are they to change that this year?
Ben, I'm going to say it like this, and I like what Dave just said there, and I'll just make this one statement. If the Ohio State Buckeyes end up winning a national championship, it will be because the defensive line is the #1 unit on this football team. They have to be the best unit. You have too much talent. You see JT right there coming off of that huge Penn State game from a couple years ago in which we all thought he was the second coming of Chase Young or Nick Bosa. And he hasn't been at that same place since production-wise. And then Jack Sawyer, you saw him in the Cotton Bowl with multiple sacks, 3-4 sacks. It seemed like he was unstoppable. If they can bring that kind of energy every single Saturday from here on out, and then tie in the middle where they want to be called TNT, well, they better be dynamite, because if they are, that changes every dynamic and aspect of this football team. This defensive line is explosive. There are so many great athletes, but they have yet to really put it together for a run where you go, man, this looks like the best D-line in the country. And so that's their challenge this season. And I think they've got some great guys that are going to be coming in. Kenyatta Jackson, you got Curry that'll be mixing in there. You got Hero Kanu, which is a really, really cool name, by the way, for a defensive lineman, Hero. And so many guys will be mixing in. But can these guys get to the quarterback? I love what Kellyanne said about affecting the quarterback being almost as important as getting sacks, because it is. But at the end of the day, you want to get to the quarterback. You want to put him on the ground. You want to knock opposing quarterbacks out of the game without getting targeted. targeting penalties.
Of course.
But you want to be disruptive. And if these guys can do that, it makes the back end's job so much easier, which we'll talk about. D-line is going to be critical.
Sticking with the D-line, though, how valuable is it to have so many returners? I mean, you mentioned the depth, but guys that have the experience and, man, they got to be hungry for this year.
They're beyond hungry. You know, as you heard Dave say, they don't have gold pants. Okay, they haven't been to Indy. This is getting under their skin. It's why they came back, and albeit not just coming back to beat Michigan. I think they probably came back because they saw some of those draft grades and thought, I can be better than this. I can get more money than this. And they deserve it, but you got to go earn it. And you got to go earn it by doing your job every single Saturday, every single play. You got to be dominant on first and second down so that you can rush the passer. And I want to see guys winning one-on-ones. Last year, you saw too many chances where there was a one-on-one battle between one of our defensive ends or tackles and an offensive lineman of the opposing team, and there weren't enough wins. And I think that's something that coach has been on them about, getting wins, getting upfield, and creating disruption. I think based on what I've seen in practice, these guys are going to be extremely disruptive, Ben.
Yeah, that's great analysis there. Now, one of the big storylines heading into this season is, of course, Cody Simon becoming Jim Knowles' on-field general. What kind of impact does this have on the veteran defensive core, especially on the talented Sonny Styles, where he's making the switch, as everyone knows, safety to linebacker? How does that impact?
Yeah, if I'm Sonny, I'm staying in Cody Simon's hip pocket all through practice. I want to kind of feed off of his knowledge. He's such a smart player, Cody Simon. He plays with great leverage. When you watch him, he's always underneath blockers, and he's pressing the pocket when he has to blitz. You know, you don't want to have to blitz a ton if you're Jim Knowles. You've got great guys up front, and that's back to the D-line being able to really create havoc. Then you can have our linebackers just stay in the coverage, stay in their zones, and now on those third downs, they become third and longs because on second down, those little small dink and dunk routes can't happen. So what you want to see from Sonny is just to take to the position, really be smart, be fast in his reads, trust his eyes, don't hesitate, and just play fast. If he can do that, he's going to make a lot of plays.
I think everyone is so excited to see him in this new role. No shortage of talent, right? Get him in the right spot in Jim Knowles' defense.
Exactly.
Could have magic in a bottle for 2024, man.
Can't wait.
Now time for the Football Fever Best Trivia in the Land, sponsored by Parlay Sporting Club and Kitchen. The question here, where did Buckeyes starting quarterback Will Howard play his college football before coming to Ohio State? We should know this one. It's kind of a softball here. Come on. Alabama, Kansas State, or Michigan? Simply scan the QR code on your screen and answer the question correctly, and you could win a $100 gift card to Parlay Sporting Club and Kitchen to enjoy some of this amazing food that you're seeing right here.
You guys better not smoke this layup.
That looks pretty good.
That's an easy one.
We're back soon with the keys to the game. This is the Football Fever. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Football Fever. Time now for the Hyundai keys to the game. My first key, show up. And I don't mean metaphorically, just physically. As long as the bus gets here, they're going to win the game. Just literally show up to the stadium. Okay, O-line improvement. They have to look better. The last time we saw the Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl, it was dreadful against Missouri. And controlling those nerves. Look, they're going to beat Akron today by 40, 50 points. But for Will Howard, you just don't want him to have a full-on M&M mom spaghetti here. Like, it's a little nerve-wracking going from Kansas State to the Shoe. So as long as he controls his nerves, I want him to look good in his first outing. Here we are live back at the Shoe with Obi and Kellyanne. Obi, final thoughts as the Buckeyes get ready to open the season against the Zips.
I had two final thoughts. One final thought is that this game will typically show us nothing about where we'll be in November, right? We just want to get through this game, be healthy, everybody comes out healthy, and like you said, Howard just throwing on all cylinders, right? So we should be in the run game, very balanced in the pass game and the run game. My last final thought is the next statue that should be up is Katie Smith at the Schottenstein Center.
I like that.
Just to let y'all know, that's the next statue that Ohio State should be working on.
Google it, basketball. If you don't know it, Google it. All right, Kellyanne, final thought.
I'm not worried about the defense. They have the most returners coming back who could have went to the NFL and did not. There should be the strength of this team. But I'm looking at the offense like everybody else to see how Will Howard meshes with his wide receivers, how they build that chemistry, and then also the offensive line, Dave, as you mentioned, see if they can take a step up from last year, and then also the running game. I'm excited to see what Chip Kelly does, run the ball, and it would be awesome to see if he uses Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins at the same time, the same backfield. That could be really exciting, so I'm looking forward to seeing what get on the field today.
Can't wait for them to kick this thing off today at 3:30. Ben, Jay, final thoughts for you as the...
All right, before we go, time now for the Ramos Roofing Hard Truth. Jay, what's your hard truth, final thought, we'll call it, for today's game versus Akron?
Yeah, you know what? With Ryan Day taking a step back in the play calling duties and Chip Kelly up in the booth now, kind of leading the ship offensively, I want to know what this offense is really going to look like. I want to know, are they going to be aggressive? If it's a 4th and 1, what's our go-to? What are our staples going to be? And I just want to know who Chip Kelly is as an offensive play caller for Ohio State, because it's going to look different this season than it did last season, folks. And I'm hoping it looks aggressive.
No doubt. Aggression, I take it as we've coined it on this show, right? The two-headed monster at Ohio State. Quinshon Judkins, this guy is physical, kind of the thunder. Trey Henderson, we know, is physical as well, but the lightning speed, that breakaway speed, that two-headed monster at running back this year, Jay, I think that's going to do wonders for this offense. Man, it's August 31st. It's Buckeye football. We're back at it. It's good to see you, man.
Game
let's do
day,
it.
finally.
Let's have a day. So, all right, that'll do it for us here on The Football Fever. The Buckeyes and Zips kick it off at 3:30 at Ohio Stadium. Join us tonight at 11 p.m. for The Football Fever post-game show with reaction from the Buckeye players and our head coach, Ryan Day. Enjoy the game, everyone. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.